Greetings, everyone, and welcome to our second installment of the Discovering Pathways series. So today we're excited to highlight the University of Nevada, Reno. And we have with us today two amazing native students who will share their experiences from UNR. And this discussion with UNR students is one of the many we'll be having with college students over the next couple months. And all of these discussions are brought to you by Amplify Nevada Native Youth, or ANNIE, and the Nevada Youth Community Project. All these virtual discussions are designed for Native youth, so they're able to have the exposure to colleges and universities, which has been set back with COVID. And we also believe it's important for our youth to hear real stories and experiences from Native college students. And next week, we will begin our career readiness discussion, so don't forget to tune in on Tuesday and Thursday. And so today, I would like to introduce tonight's hosts, myself, Avery Wyatt, and Ferdina Romero. And so my name is Avery Wyatt, for those who don't know, and I'm one of the main organizers with ANNIE. I'm Washoe and Northern Paiute. I grew up in the Hungry Valley Reservation in Sparks, Nevada. I'm a student at the University of Nevada, Reno. I'm a senior. I'm about to graduate with degrees in political science and public health, also with a minor in addiction treatment services. Along with ensuring success for underrepresented students, I also love activism, social justice, and also I have a passion for environmental and racial justice for all marginalized communities. And so, Ferdina, would you like to introduce yourself?
Oops, sorry about that. I was on mute. Good evening, everyone, and greetings. I'm excited to co-host the second Discovery Pathways series. My name is Ferdina Romero. I'm a Southern Paiute, enrolled with the Kaibabana Paiutes in Northern Arizona, and I have close affiliations to my mother's tribe, the Mapabana Paiutes in Southern Nevada. My position at the Nevada Department of Education as a programs professional for Indian education one of my duties is to oversee the Native Youth Community Project grant that seeks to prepare 7th to 12th grade students, American Indian students, to college and career ready events. One of the goals for the NYCP is to implement a successful program that promotes and prepares American Indian students for career and college. The program is specific to members of the Yerington Paiute tribe and the Walker River Paiute tribe, as well as the Port McDermott Paiute tribe. However, we recognize the need to provide this information to all students statewide. Why is this important for you to participate tonight? If you're a middle schooler or a high schooler, you will need these helpful tips and tools being offered through the Discovery Pathways series. If you are a student now in higher education, it is always good to see what your fellow college students are doing. And for the educators, we hope that you will subscribe to the YouTube channel to see and like and follow the Amplified Nevada Native Youth page and share with your students on their way to college if they're ready. Now I turn it back to you, Avery.
Cool, thank you, Ferdina. And so now I would like to introduce our amazing guests from UNR today, Robin Smootha and Mercedes Ramirez. So Robin, take it away.
Hello, I'm Robin. I'm from pretty much all over Northern Nevada. I'm currently in what's now Carson. I'm studying cultural anthropology and indigenous studies at UNR as of now. And I welcome you to this event.
Thank you, Robin. Mercedes?
Hi guys, I'm Mercedes Ramirez. I'm Nui and Numu. I'm Paiute and Shoshone. I'm enrolled in the Reno Sparks Indian Colony. I'm currently a senior at UNR, and I'm studying speech language pathology and audiology. And I'm hoping for grad school, to get into an audiology program so I can work on ears. So, yeah.
Well, awesome. And I'm thankful for all of you for being here with us today and taking the time out of your day. And so now we'll move into our discussion portion. So first, I would like to present everyone with a video from the University of Nevada. So we're a land grant institution. It's a beautiful campus that we have. We're ranked in the top in the US in world reports. And we were actually founded in 1874, so we've been in Reno for a very long time. And we have over 21,000 students from over 50 states and 75 countries from around the world. And in our classrooms, we have an 18-to-1 student-faculty ratio. And so we're actually ranked at the top, one of the top tier universities in the nation. As you can see, we have native baskets on campus. We have a beautiful climate outside of campus with the river, Reno, downtown. We have tons of events throughout the year. Car shows, which unfortunately have been canceled, but the university is doing what it can. We have Lake Tahoe, only 45 minutes from campus. We have our football, we're Division I. We were ranked at 1.7th in the country in basketball last year. We have an amazing crowd, amazing fans at our basketball games. I love going to our basketball games. And we have over 12 academic colleges and schools at the university. And so we have various labs throughout the university, from agricultural labs to science labs, chemistry. And we also offer over 460 degrees. And here we are featuring our School of Medicine. We have our earthquake lab that was actually used to build the Bay Bridge in San Francisco. And a lot of our students, so 40% of our students are from underrepresented populations, so that also includes Native students. Thank you. And so more statistics on UNR. So for every discussion, we actually posted a video with campus info sessions and also a campus tour. And so you can find that on our YouTube page, and there's also a link on our Facebook page. And so more information on the campus. So like I said, we were founded in 1874 in Elko, Nevada. And then we actually moved to Reno in 1886. And the first building that was moved in 1886 is actually still on campus and located right south of the quad. And so for Native students, we have 141 self-identifying American Indian Alaska Native students for 2019, and around 8 faculty and staff. And in total, we have over 21,000 students. And so now we'll move into our questions for today. It's the questions for our panelists. Hello, Mercedes and Robin, and thank you again for being here with us today. And so my first question for you all is, why UNR, and why was there a decision to go UNR?
Okay, I guess I'll take this away. Well, UNR for me, I really love that it was close to home. You know, I have a lot of family around the Reno Sparks area, so it's important for me to stay connected with them. The second reason is because of their medicine program here. They have a really good speech language pathology program. It's a small program, but the teachers are very good. You know, they're good at communicating with all the students and keeping them on track. So that way they have better chances of getting into grad school. So that was a really big reason there. And then plus it's a beautiful campus, and I don't see why you wouldn't want to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Robin?
And for me, I picked UNR for its connectiveness to the whole state as like transfer student. I saw it as that. I went to WNC and I transferred to UNR. So I wanted to go there instead of UNLV because of mostly the work they were doing with the Great Basin tribes. My tribe itself was working with them through their cultural department a lot better than in the past, or like UC Berkeley is. So I went to UNR mostly because I heard about that they're doing good things from my cultural center.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you, Robin. That all sounds really good. I've had similar experiences too going to UNR. So when I grew up, we always went to sporting events. I was a huge Nevada fan. Watched Colin Kaepernick through all his 4 years. It was really sweet, and I think that's what sort of made me go to Nevada. And I think that's what also solidified my opinion to not go to UNLV, just because of the rivalry. I'm not disencouraging anyone to go to school at UNLV, but it was just a rivalry why I chose UNR too.
So do you remember the process of applying for UNR? And if so, did you face any struggles, or what resources were there to help you? as you sought out your application process?
Well, I was a transfer student, so it was actually pretty easy. They were always ready to help me just move my credits over, do actual application, send my GPA transcripts and such. Um, Pretty good. They came to my community college and showed me how to do that. I had to do very little, like seeking it out by myself.
Well, it seems like the application process is a little bit easier for you, Robin.
Right. Oh, I couldn't hear you.
Thank you.
And then as for me, I had a similar process as Robin. I was a transfer student from UNR, TMCC, Truckee Meadows Community College. And I had a really good advisor, thankfully. You know, she stayed with me every step of the way. She helped make sure that I was on track with all my prereqs into getting into school, making sure that I passed my classes and I was up to date with all my testing and stuff like that. And also, the Reno Sparks Indian Colony had a big role in that too. They, their education department helped me fill out the right applications and get, the ball moving with that. So I'm very grateful for that. It was an easy process.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mercedes. And so, do any of you remember the application process? Was it difficult or?
Frankly, I actually can't remember it at all. I remember having to fax something at some point. Sound weird. That's all I remember.
Yeah, I think we've all had the old school faxing experience. And so, and we'll move on to our next question. So, what was it like to be a native at UNR? And what's the native presence like on campus?
I guess I can start. I don't know, when I first got there, I don't know, like, what do you mean by native presence? Like, just like things to do, or like
Was there like native events, students in general, teachers, anything like that?
I saw a few like native event things, mostly the powwow posters on all the light poles, and of course the center. It was the first place I went, probably first week of school.
Yeah, I think when I first got to UNR, there wasn't a very big native presence on campus. To be honest, I actually had to do my research and seek out clubs and native staff. So I think that was kind of hard. I wish they were more visible on campus. But when you do find them, they're there,
Yeah.
And it does have the potential to become a campus, that, welcomes natives and makes you feel at home. But you definitely have to seek out the clubs and seek out the teachers.
Yeah, it sounds like a similar experience that all natives kind of have at colleges and universities, especially huge ones that aren't TCUs, is that it seems like it does get sort of isolating at some points and maybe even hard just to find other natives on campus. But luckily, I think from my experience at UNR, I got in touch with a native advisor, which usually most colleges usually have. So for students out there, maybe do some research into the college or university you're interested in and see if they do have a native advisor that you can find, and maybe they'll guide you along the way, introduce you to other native students too. And so I understand that both of you were transfers, both of you were from Reno. So how was the commuting to school? So I know a lot of native students from around the area. Most don't really live in the Reno area. Most commute from Carson City, Hungry Valley, other reservations outside of Reno. And so how was commuting for you? And do you have any suggestions for native students who do have to commute to school?
Well, right now I'm commuting from Carson to UNR. So thankfully they built the bridge that connects, Carson to Reno, and it's only like a 25-minute drive, but it does get kind of crazy during the winter times. I drive a truck and I still slide around on the road. I definitely leave early and prepare for the unexpected weather that we have here at, in Reno. And if you can carpool, save gas and
Mhm.
be environmentally friendly that way too.
Yep. How about you, Robin?
I have a pretty similar agree on pretty much all of them, but I come from either Carson or Gardnerville, depending on the day of the week. And once you get on the highway, you're good. I'd say when the planning ahead, especially all the time, especially for parking, can't really run slow. And I would recommend a either willing to pay the $5 for the parking garage or a higher end parking ticket, unless you really get there early if you park at Circus Circus. That'd be my most experience is you want to get one on campus or at least further up than Circus Circus.
Mm-hmm.
Free pass is good, but
Yeah, and our teachers usually accommodable for commuting students, like say like there is bad weather like we have in Reno. And so do they usually sort of accommodate to you all if you're late to class or you miss class?
Usually, there are a few who want you to plan ahead, and there's no excuse to be late, but majority of them are very accommodating.
Mm-hmm. Cool. That sounds cool.
So, Robin, you mentioned the center, but my question is, Native students often feel isolated while in school. Is there a certain spot or place where you feel connected to the campus?
Like outside the center or just anywhere?
Well, tell us about the center. What is the center? Is that a place spot that you felt connected to the campus, or is there other places?
Yeah, it's in the student union next to who are they next to us? The
Habit Burger now.
Yeah. on the third floor. But up there it's the student union's like kind of the center of campus, but it's a lot further up. I just say that's the best spot to go because everyone eventually ends up at the Joe for something. Oop. And that's probably where I felt most connecting, just sitting at the center or, meeting people there. Kind of shooting the breeze.
I agree with Robin. The center is probably where I felt the most welcomed and I guess more at home there. And I think it was because like NASA was there, the Native American Student Organization. When I first got there, that's kind of where we had our meetings. So it was, that was probably the place, was at the center. And then also the gym for me.
Mm-hmm.
It just became my place, like where I could de-stress, and it was my happy place though. I'd say the gym.
So tell us about the gym. I mean, it's a brand new facility. Right?
Yeah, and it's beautiful. I think it's like a 3-story gym, or 2-story. I'm not sure, but it's beautiful. They have everything that you could ever need there. All the classes, you can take. If you're married, you can take your spouse. It's a gorgeous gym, and I would utilize it if you go. You come to UNR.
Yeah, and the cool thing about the gym too is that it's free for all students, so it's included in your tuition actually. And so, all you have to do is just walk in, maybe sign a form, and swipe your ID, and you should be good to go. And one other cool thing about the gym too is that actually last year we had our own Native basketball team, and that was cool. And so I think that's one good idea of why to be in the center and stay involved is because all our natives, we kind of got together in the same center, and we were like, hey, let's make a basketball team. We can be good. We can wipe out all these cheap teams. And so, yeah, we didn't win the championship because we faced a guy who was like Kobe. But, yeah, it was really fun just playing with other Native students on campus. And yeah, the center is a really good resource.
So, Avery, for those who don't know what the center is, can you explain it?
Yeah. So the center is basically the diversity center on campus, and the only diversity center on campus. And so within the center, we have about 4 to 5 different faculty, and each of those faculty has a different position. And so that is where our Native advisor is inside there. We have our Black Diaspora Advisor, Latinx, LGBTQIA+, Asian Pacific Islander, I think we have North African graduations, Native graduations. They hold everything diverse inside of the center. And it's just a really cool spot to connect with other students who come from similar backgrounds to Native students. And I think that's one big thing that I realized when I went to the center is because even though I wasn't Black, I wasn't Latinx, or wasn't a part of the LGBT community, we all sort of come from similar backgrounds to where we all kind of connect. And I think that's the best thing about the center.
Thank you.
And I know, so like finding the center, there's a lot of challenges that we endure, especially in school. And so what was one of your biggest challenges and how did you overcome it while in school?
Well, my first time was honestly, I guess it's more of like my degrees problem of that, like it's all over the place. So like trying to find an advisor to answer a very specific question can be hard. I don't know if you guys felt that for yours, but like you can always find an academic advisor or someone within that degree field. But like if I have a question about, you know, something that's like imperative, but the professor can't answer, I'm just kind of listening and walking in on people working in their office. And it feels kind of weird, just kind of wandering into their office, like, hey, I want to ask you this question, can I?
Yeah. Well, thank you, Robin.
I mean, there was a few challenges. I think for me personally, it was overcoming my fear of like, I guess, shyness. So I really had to learn how to like raise my hand, ask questions in class. A big thing, like one of my teachers had mentioned was, you know, if you want to be successful in school, you have to be able to get up in front of the class or even just raise your hand, ask questions, you know. They're not going to know if you don't know something. So it's always good to, you know, ask questions in class, you know, talk to other students, utilize their office hours and kind of put yourself out there. And it's a little scary, but, you know, they're there for you. You know, it's your education.
Yeah. And that's a really good too. I know, and I even struggle myself asking questions or even just talking with other people. I think it's just because from coming to res, it's just different. So when I got to class, I realized, I think this past year, I was like, man, people ask wild questions. And so what's gonna hurt me asking a question that actually sort of relates to the topic and makes sense? And then professors let me ask questions too. That they get to know you, everything like that. And making friends in class, questions also help you get to know other people. So yeah, I always sit in the front of the class, ask questions. That's really good advice, Mercedes. Thank you.
Yeah, very good. I know you both said you transferred from Turkey Meadows Community College and Western Nevada College. Can you explain the transfer process that you went through? Was there any struggles with the transfer process? And a follow-up question to that is, do you think it's worthy to go to a community college first and then transfer to a four-year institution? And if so, why?
Honestly, like the transfer process, I felt like was pretty easy coming from TMCC as opposed to coming from a high school and then getting in. And mostly because you have an advisor, you have somebody working with you very closely, and hopefully that they're a good one. All you really had to do is make sure you passed your classes and, you know, filled out the right forms, which, you know, they know what they're doing and they're pretty good at helping you. And I think it's worth it to go to a community college too because of it's cheaper. You know, you get all your prereqs finished and out of the way for like half the price. You know, and I feel like at TMCC they were easier to, you know, get done there. I feel like the classes were a little bit easier than UNR. Not much, but it was easier, I think.
How about you, Robin?
And after you had all those points, I would just add I enjoyed going to a community college first because it's like UNR does have very low like you know, class numbers at a certain point, but I really don't like being in a large class or auditorium of like 200. So I like having a 20-person class at the highest the entire time for my first 2 years at high school, of course. 'Cause that's what I was used to.
And usually those 100, 200 level courses are packed with
Yeah.
freshman students. So yeah.
I think the biggest class I had for a 100 level class was like probably like 25. So I enjoyed it, and they did make it very easy to transfer, of course.
Right. So those are two really good colleges that you're coming from to UNR. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Robin, Mercedes. Yeah, those are all really good points, especially the saving money portion. Because I mean, college, even though we may be in state, can still be really expensive. And so, I mean, it's worth it to get your education and save money for 2 years, and then you only have maybe 2 years worth of loans, 2 to 5 years, but that just takes off that 2 years worth of loans or money that you might have to pay back. So that's a really good idea. And so, for those unfamiliar with Reno, what fun things are there to do in Reno?
There's a lot of fun things. I think it depends on your age and your interests, but
Yeah.
like for me, there's a lot of areas around here to hike. It's very outdoorsy. There's a lot of lakes. Like me and my fiance, we go fishing, we hunt, and there's a lot of really nice, beautiful areas around here. Also Midtown is growing. So they have a lot of eateries and boutiques, and we have a couple malls. Tahoe.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I like Reno the most because it's like a spoke if you're like going across areas. Like it's an easy center. Like you can straight drive. Like if you get up early, you can take an afternoon to like Sacramento or further up if you want to drive. Like it's I say in the center of things to get around. And of course, in town, it's the biggest city in northern Nevada. So it's like a miniature Las Vegas. I don't like that, but like you got all the casinos and all that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
If you want good food, don't go gambling. But
yeah. That you bring up a good point. That it is kind of like it's a good spot to be to where it's sort of its own city, but it's also not too far from other cities like Sacramento. The Bay Area, San Francisco is only 3.5 hours away. It's a really easy drive. Some other fun things I was thinking of, like Mercedes said, hiking, going to Lake Tahoe, Pyramid Lake when it's open. Yeah, but also it's just like a very walkable city, I think. I honestly, because I don't have a car, so I walk everywhere I go, and it's really easy just to get around and use the bus when I need to. That's what's cool.
Yeah, talking about some really fun stuff. What are some of your favorite foods in town? For those who've never been to Reno or who may hope to come to Reno one day, like food on campus or food within the area?
Well, I mean, of course, everyone is always talking about Roberto's down there on the hill. It's the college student center, like better than Taco Bell, but not too much. Out in Reno, I probably always gravitate towards like I say the Grand Sierra. It's probably my favorite food / eating establishment area in Reno as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
It's got more to do in that kind of building.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, like closest to school, because I don't really typically eat on campus, but I think Ike's, which is right across the street, it's a very good like sandwich shop, and they have really good vegan options and gluten-free options, and they're really good. Capriotti's, I don't know, I love sandwiches. There's a lot of Mexican around here, a lot of Mexican food, and really authentic. It's so good. Thai food, I think we have a lot of options. So
yeah, there's a ton of options. I think on campus in total we have 18 different food options now, and then we just added the Panera Bread and then the Habit Burger, so that's 2 more, so maybe around 20 options spread throughout campus. And I know they're even looking to spread more because they're building 3 new buildings, and each of those buildings is supposed to have a restaurant or someplace to eat, so that should be pretty good. Mm-hmm. But I think for me, I mean, over this last year, I fell in love with Chinese food. I don't know what it is. And so I love going to Golden Flower, and that seems like it's like the college spot, especially in Reno, because they're open until 3 o'clock. So I mean, you could finish a paper at midnight, and then go over to Golden Flower, and you'll see a ton of college students in there, like on a weekday, just eating at like 1 or 2 in the morning. It's fun.
Yeah. So I know we have a new Midtown. Have you guys gone down to the Midtown Reno?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's growing too. So, every other month they're building new shops and new restaurants. It's very hip, I guess. I feel like it's new. Reno doesn't typically have those kind of restaurants or shops. So it's nice to have that little hub, and everything's walkable. All the buildings and bars and restaurants are all kind of connected. So it's all down one strip.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Cool. So though, again, for those unfamiliar with Reno, so we know about the food. Food is mainly one of the big things for Reno, I guess. But so what other fun things, or actually, what was, we already used that question, sorry. So what was your funniest or best memory from college so far? Could be anything that's age related, or age appropriate.
Shoot.
I think one of my best ones was going to, I think, New Mexico to do our roundtable discussion with our Native American student organization. Back then, that's what it was called. And a few of us, did a nice little road trip, couple-day road trip down to New Mexico and gave a presentation. It's my favorite.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Well, so far, my favorite was being able to, I think I was in it was like a high 200 class. But I got to go actually do a full project. I got to go to a old building and take measurements and that, but at such a low level. I found that really fun. Being able to just look through old documents, research data, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds cool. I think my best memory, of course, is like being with all the natives on campus. Every day at the center, there's always something funny to laugh about. Someone's got a story from the weekend. Someone's got a story about their family. It's always fun inside there. But yeah, probably my favorite was maybe we were in the Sweet 16 at Nevada, and then we were all like eating at a restaurant like on campus or near campus, and I think we were playing. I think we beat the number 2 team in the nation. And I remember everyone just like started flipping tables and like someone broke some window. It was just crazy. That was a really fun time though.
Yeah. So aside of all the fun stuff, what advice would you give to our future Indigenous college students?
Best advice I got is just don't be afraid to just honestly wander into buildings. I had to get over that really fast. I want to do things. I don't know if you guys ever had that experience, but I was looking for something. I just wandered in to the GRI thinking it was some other building. And that's how I got my minor at the school, was talking to people. But sometimes, it's just, you can't just ask everyone things or get a map. You just got to wander in. I never would have found the basket library ever, unless I was just seeing where this elevator went.
Yeah. Kind of hidden.
Yeah, that's a really interesting perspective, actually. I've never heard anything like that. But it's cool. Yeah, I've never actually just wandered and then just discovered new things. I think that I actually did that one time, and I found a museum on campus that has a lot of native stuff. And so, yeah, there is. Yeah, you can if you just wander. Honestly, yeah, that's a really interesting advice. Thank you.
I think there's a lot of advice that I think I could give incoming students, but I think for me the most important ones would be I'd say getting to know your professors, especially when you get into your I guess your career, not your career field, but into your area of study, and you're done with your prereqs. I say get to know your professors, ask questions, like I said. the first day of class, what I always do is I go and ask if there's any way like I can become their TA, what they want me to do. So that way they could get to know me, I can maintain my grades, really utilize their office hours, go and talk to them, show your face anywhere in any way you can, ask them questions, say hi, whatever it may be. I would say also join clubs like of your interests, but also join clubs that are within what you're trying to do. So that way you get to know other students, you get to know the teachers, and it kind of keeps you connected to, all the information that you need to know even when you graduate. And I think the most important would be, even if you don't know what you want to do yet, you haven't decided on a educational path, I would say keep going. Like, don't ever stop. Even if you just take 1 or 2 classes here and there, don't stop. Eventually you'll figure it out and you'll end up where you need to be.
Right. Right. Avery?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's definitely perfect what you said. I know, especially for me I feel like I've taken so long just to get 2 degrees, but honestly, a lot of native students I know do take a little bit longer, but I think that's because we're always in the field. We work in our own jobs, and we also have to care for like our people at the same time and have different worries like language revitalization and stuff like that. And so, I mean, don't rush it. They're gonna want to rush you to graduate in 4 years, 5 years. But if it takes longer, I mean, you can go to school whenever. Like, you can take however long you want. And I mean, if you rush it, that can honestly hurt your grades sometimes. And so just take your time. If you need to take 12 credits, feel free to take 12 credits. If you're comfortable taking 18, take 18 if you want. I would never, but yeah, whenever you're comfortable with, just find that comfortable zone that you can just go through college with. And I mean, it'll be really smooth. And I also like what Mercedes said too about getting to know your teachers. It makes your classes a lot more comfortable if you're able to get to know your professors and even just talk to them on outside of class too. Because when you say you want to answer a question in class, it's way more comfortable to ask them a question because it's almost like you're asking just another peer. And it feels like you actually know that person. And so talking to your professors, meeting other people in class is a really good resource that, especially for native students who do sort of struggle, maybe talking or just raising your hand in class. Because I understand it is hard. Like me and Mercedes said earlier, we both struggled just participating in class just because it is just the nerves of being in classes sometimes can be a lot. But as soon as you break that barrier of introducing yourself to another student or introducing yourself to a professor, that can be like the biggest relief of your life. You feel like you've met a new friend or something like that. It makes the class way more comfortable.
I think if I could go back in time, I think my advice would be, if I could go back in time and do it all over, I would have totally done so much better in high school. I would have paid more attention. I would have been prepared. I went to a tribal college, Haskell, and I, totally thoroughly enjoyed myself there. But, so I understand that college before going to a mainstream and how important it is. But I think I would just make sure that I would just concentrate on what I needed to do. And you heard from the other people about, looking at your syllabus once you get it, time management, and learning those things prior to coming to college, and even managing your money. So if I can go back in time, I think I would tell my younger self all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Guys?
So, what is the thing you're most thankful about of your college experience? Like, what would you take out of the biggest thing you would take out of going to school?
I would say all of it. I don't know. I think it's a blessing to even be, and to get your education. Not a lot of people can do that. I would say all the research opportunities I've gotten as an undergrad, thanks to getting out of my shell and talking in class and getting to know my teachers. And just opening up while in school. I think it's made me a better, more well-rounded person. college has allowed me to like kind of think out of the box too. You know, it expands your mind, and I don't know. I'm just thankful for all of it, and I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't think I want it to end ever.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
definitely feel that too. Robin?
Yeah, I can't add much. It's pretty good. Just the whole like having experienced college, you know, you get to think differently and understand resources that you have that, you didn't even fathom, like, oh, there's a thing for that. Or, you can do this,
Hmm.
Um that's all I can add. Yeah, the whole experience is very helpful. Just going.
Yeah, to sort of add along with that, I think one big experience that not a lot of people talk about is just, I think, okay, so you learn your classes, you have maybe 3 to 5 classes, but honestly, in my opinion, that's maybe 30 to 40% of your learning that you actually get in college. And I feel like a lot of the learning comes from other students and it comes from events that are on campus. So students, the number one thing I always honor, especially from my college experience, is just the stories I've heard from other students. The stories I've heard from students inside the center who come from LGBT backgrounds. And I guess that sort of reminds me how much we relate, even though we aren't the same culture technically. I really found connection just by listening to other people's stories, and I'm going to different events on campus and learning from different speakers, reading on my own time, actually at the library, actually exploring, like what Robin said earlier, just kind of wandering the library, seeing what they have. And I mean, one time I did wander, and I actually found books that from my tribe that I didn't even know existed in the library. And then some things like that that they don't really tell you. And so I guess that's where that wandering sort of perspective comes into handy.
Good.
Well, so I think one other question I had for everyone. So as a high schooler watching this right now, what would be the best advice that you would tell a high schooler to start doing now or to start preparing for, in order to start preparing for college? Like what tips should they start studying more, talking to the teachers? What do you think they should do in high school now?
They should definitely start getting better grades if they're not already. Start picking it up, focusing in class, applying their self in school, and then also doing research. Look into schools that you might want to go and why you want to go there. Maybe utilize your tribe. If you're from a federally recognized tribe, see if they have resources through their education department that you can use, and people that you can work with. They're very good at linking you with people at colleges and schools. So I would definitely start doing that and doing your research.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say, and if any of you have like I think they call like senior projects, like make that really good because that's like your first research project. Like you can walk right in and say I've had experience here, because undergrad research they help you out even more, and you having that up on them, like saying, hey, I put a lot of effort into this, on this, like you can show them something. And probably just mentally preparing for college is probably the most important. Like once you get to college, that GPA matters. And if you're struggling and you have to take like a 98 or a 101 and you're still acting like if you're bad in high school, you'll stay bad. But that's the GPA that matters. Yeah, like 1.5 now and you're gonna get a 2 maybe. None of that'll matter if you get into a college and keep going. You need to care about that one now. So just mentally prepare. It's a fresh start and you need to do your best.
Yeah, definitely. And then I would also add to that, like, don't ever think that you can't get into college, because of grades or, nobody in your family's in school or going to college, like you can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. That's all really good advice, especially for youth watching this. Because I mean, high school is a very important time in your life. It's hard because I know a lot of us aren't really prepared for college as we leave high school. So it's best to start preparing in high school before you even get to college. Start doing study tips, study habits, maybe even scheduling. Write down the schedule for the day, what you're gonna do. what homework you have to do. Start using a planner. I mean, with me, a planner, I didn't know. I never would have pictured myself using a planner or any type of calendar apps or anything like that. But once I started doing that, I found my life started to go way smoother. I wasn't missing assignments. I mean, that's one of the worst experiences when you show up to class and professors asking about assignment that you have no idea about. So I mean, it's always good to keep it up with a calendar and a planner. And so now we're going to move on to our questions from Facebook and YouTube. And so if you're watching this right now, feel free to post your questions that you have for our students or any of the staff here today. And so we already have one question, and it is, and so if you can create one dream class that every student could take in college, what class would that be?
It's a class that just got put into place at UNR this year, and that's Indigenous Studies class, like an ethnic studies class. It's Deb Harry who's teaching it, and she does like Indigenous feminism. I would say I kind of wish everybody could take it. A lot of students I've realized that are non-Native didn't realize our history. Some of them didn't even know that we were even here still. So I think it's something that I think everybody should take. It's like an ethnic or Indigenous studies class.
I'd answer it about the same way, except the timing. If I had a perfect class, you'd have to take this the first semester, because we have similar things where you're supposed to take like Anthropology 101 or something like that. I would have them take an Indigenous feminisms class, but first semester or second semester. They really need to see it as soon as possible, because a lot of seniors are just there existing once you get on, and they can't build on that except in life. Whereas if you take it early, you can see it through the whole system and actually think about it in your, college experience.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, I'm excited for that Indigenous feminism class. That's the one class I'm taking this semester. So yeah, I'm very excited. But if I had to do one class, I feel like I would just do. Let me think. That's a really tough question, because all I can think of was just a lot of Indigenous classes or anything related to like Native life. I guess I would love to have language classes for every school that's in the area, Great Basin, or maybe just the ability to study a class where a teacher is able to provide resources to the students and they can study their languages from wherever. So they could be a sort of like a universal language class for Native students. And so say you want to take Washoe, Paiute, Shoshone, even like Maidu, anything like that. They would be able to connect you with resources from the tribe, and then you can learn their language while also getting credit for that language. So I know at the university right now we only offer Paiute, so it's tough for students who aren't looking to learn, who want to learn their own language from where they're from. I know a lot of Native students struggle with that process, so it would be cool to have a universal class where students the professor is sort of like a guide to them to like teach them or guide them to the tribes, and they'll be able to help them learn the language. That would be really cool.
I would agree. I mean, I didn't learn about any of our tribal groups in a public school system. And when I went to Haskell was the first time, and I know that question was going around on Facebook, who was the first Native professor, and a lot of us could say it was until college. Or I think Avery, I read yours that you had never had one yet, or I think it's so important because it does give you a different perspective. Like it gives you a reason for why you're at college, what our ancestors went through to for us to be here, to be able to be on this panel and talking to you guys, and so it's so important for us to know where we come from, and I kind of hear that in your voices. So
yeah, those classes are really important for Native students. I think one thing that should be changed is maybe the curriculum to where, so I know there's certain classes that we have to take, and then financial aid doesn't cover classes outside your major, but I think for Native students, it's important that we take our classes, because honestly, when I took my first Native Studies class, even though it was taught by a non-Native person at the university, that's when I kind of turned around. I feel like I think because I had a really bad GPA. I was just having trouble in school, and after I kind of took that class is when I found the center. I started participating more. Yeah, it should be a requirement, but not really a charge for Native students to take their classes.
Mm-hmm.
And so thank you all for coming today. It doesn't look like we have any more questions from online. If you do, shoot one in real quick. But yeah, I would like to thank you all, Mercedes and Robin, for coming here today and taking the time out of your day to join us. And thank you so much. And yeah, it's crucial for our youth right now to hear stories like yours before they venture on to this new chapter in life. And yeah, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, do you have any last words or last thoughts that you want to leave us with?
No, I don't know. I'd say, I don't know. There's like a quote that I love to like tell myself, and it's whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. So, always have a positive mindset. Always know that you can and you will achieve anything that you put your heart to.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. Thank you.
Do you have a quote, Robin?
I'm trying to get one out of my mental library here. But I guess the best generic advice I'd have though is, yeah, you need to have a mindset of positivity, and I'd say whether that's I'm going to be the first to do it, or you just gotta go for it. You just gotta have your mindset, and you can't stop.
Mm-hmm.
And Sandra says, register to vote.
Yes, register to vote. Do the census. Okay, I think it's still open. So do our census numbers. It's really easy. It takes like 10 minutes if that. So vote, do the census, and yeah, thank you all for being here with us today. And have a great day, Mercedes and Robin.
Thank you.
And everyone else.
Cool, and then thank you, Ferdina, for hosting again tonight. And I would like to remind everyone watching here today. So next week, we're going to invite our students from Center for Native American Youth and also Illuma Natives. And that will be Tuesday at 6 p.m. and Thursday at 5, I believe 5:30 or 5 p.m. I'll double check and I'll post it on our page though. And thank you everyone for being here today. I look forward to these discussions. They're really fun. Thank you so much.
And don't forget to like our pages.
Yes, like, subscribe, share our YouTube page, show our youth. Our youth need to see these videos, so it's really important. And thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.